Good little riff right there. Shush, didn't fade it, but it's okay. We're kicking it live on a Wednesday, baby. July 2nd. How about us hitting July?
I can't believe
Mid-July.
it's July already, Spin.
I love it. I like July. But that means, we got to enjoy July because before you know it, fuck, man, it's August. So this is like middle of the season. Shit. So this is kind of where it's beautiful. At this stage of the game, we kind of know what to expect with all the teams. Maybe, there's still going to be surprises second half. There's a lot of good stuff to get into, which we will today, especially with the All-Star right around the corner. But you got to love about the midway point. We have a great idea of who is who, what team is what. But by the way, this is Sean and Spin in the Morning presented by Off Base Media, episode 31. Shawnee, how are we doing today?
I'm feeling good, Spin. We got a whole slew of things we're gonna talk about. A lot of concern, panic, doom. We're gonna talk about some notables, talk about some bad teams being good, some all-stars, some trade deadline. This is the fun part of the season, man. Right in this middle where you're getting up to the all-star break. So now we get to talk about all-star snubs, trade deadlines coming up, which every single year with the trade deadline, it always seems juicier than it actually is most of the time. But we've already seen Devers shipped. So it makes me feel like that a lot of other teams are going to start to kind of follow suit. A lot of good teams this year have big holes that they need to fill. And there's a lot of bad teams that have some surprisingly good talent that they're more than likely to part ways with. So the trade deadline could be a lot of fun this year.
I think so. I'm always excited for the deadline. I feel like last year's deadline was maybe not as notable as some years. And if we do see that this year, I think it's going to be maybe just a shift in how teams start building their teams. Like, are we going to see more blockbuster shit? Or because we've seen a lot of blockbuster off seasons, and is that where teams acquire their big name? Because you want to have a star entering a season. That's kind of how a huge box that you have to check off. And a lot of teams kind of have done that. You see the Giants with Devers, but even before that, they have been bringing in big name dudes. And now it's almost like those cutesy little touch-up pieces that the trade deadline is good for. So if it's like that, great. But I would love to see some blockbuster shit because, as you said, we already saw Devers. That could be just the start of it, and then we'll see how if we keep feeding that fire with big names getting shipped. But either way, it'll be fun. And let's start with a little vibe check here because we had this thing on, was it Monday night, Sean, in Arizona? That fan. How about that, dude? What are your thoughts on this guy? It's now 4 straight years. Have you seen that?
No. So explain it a little bit more to me real quick.
Okay, so on Monday, I was watching the Diamondbacks game. Giants were in town. I guess they still are. Fly ball to left field. This fan who's like a 50-year-old man brings his glove to a stadium. That's a different conversation. We can get into that. I don't know your thoughts on that, but 50-year-old man brings a glove to a stadium. Insane reach over. Insane, like a little. It's absurd.
Was it for the Giants or was it for the Diamondbacks?
It was a Giants hit, and this guy's a Diamondbacks fan. Reaches over. The original call in the field is a out. So it's like, okay, this guy just helped the team, whatever. You see it in the replay. Well, they're saying fan interference. It was a tough play. Left fielder was literally going back against the wall. It was over his glove, and it was a tough play regardless. They call it an out at first and say that without the fan interference, that the player would have had a shot at catching it. Therefore, fan interfered. He's out. They review it again. Bob Melvin comes out for the Giants, review it, and then they after the review, they're like, "No, that would have been a hit. Whatever. Put him on second. It's a double," which is the right call. Now the crazy thing is this one, and then he gets escorted out of the game. But it was a crazy reach over. That was number one. The second thing is now with the power of the internet, these fans are putting this little video together. I should have sent it to you about this guy. I guess is a season ticket holder for the Diamondbacks, and for the past 4 years, he's averaging one play a year where he has interfered with the ball.
No
past
way.
4 since what 22, 23, 24. Now this year, so 4 straight years. The video is pretty good. I'll send it to you if you guys haven't seen it. Maybe we'll put the link of a video in the description, or it's everywhere. And it basically, the video that I saw, it tells you the year, the outcome of the play, and whether the call was upheld or not. He's not really interfering. Some people in comment sections are saying he's interfering. Like, why were you doing this here? He's not really interfering too much. But now it's on 4 years of him like literally reaching over, being in the middle of these plays. Like he thinks he's the 10th man out there. Is basically what it is.
Listen, I'm all for super fandom, but there's always a point where it's like you got to stop, and that is the point. It's like, dude, once I get once, right? Once it's a mistake, you're excited. There's a ball coming to you,
Yep.
yada yada, and you get excited and stuff like that. But like you've done this 4 times in 4 years. Get him out of it. Did they ban him?
I don't know, but that's the big conversation right now: is should he be banned?
So I also can't believe there's a 50-year-old man bringing a freaking glove to a game.
Right, that's the other thing.
That also just doesn't sit well with me either. But like, I would, in all honesty, I would get him the hell out of there. I get like you're a season ticket holder, you're a super fan, you love being there for the D-backs, snakes alive in the desert, love the snakes. But like, dude, take a look in the mirror, man.
Yeah. So I think, the 50-year-old man with the glove, like he really does think he's a 10th man. Like he wants to be a part of the team. Like I remember he's trying to like meet a guy. I don't know. I don't know. Like if it's a kid doing it, one thing. And again, like you said, the first time it happens, okay, there's the ball coming your way, you're excited. But now he's pretty seasoned in the fact that, and he's a season ticket holder that has really good seats in left field where balls are coming at you. And clearly he's been involved in a lot. Like I haven't been involved in a foul ball, let alone that. So like when you've gotten those chances time and time again, like you kind of become seasoned to that, and you would think that he would be more, I don't know, more of a veteran guy in that regard. He'd be the guy that's kind of making sure people don't grab it. He's the big kahuna when it comes to grabbing balls and jumping out of his shoes for something. Which, okay, one of the comments was, let him, don't ban him. Let's just see if this run can continue. I kind of want to see this go for 5 next year.
I bet he probably so I'm looking at it. They banned him for the rest of 2025, and he can return in 2026 as a season ticket holder. So I mean, like I think that's kind of fair. You say whatever, you ban him for 2025, let him come back in 2026. He's gonna do it again. Like it's like he will. I looked up the first link I clicked on about this. It's an Arizona Sports like fan page, and then it's like Arizona's WIP, and he's getting interviewed on it.
Oh, geez, see, he loves this. This is what he wants.
So they're cooked. Like it's going to happen again.
I do kind of want to see him go for 5 here because this is kind of a generational run. So in 2026, we'll see if he can continue. Or maybe they just say, hey, dude, like you could be a season ticket holder, but be like in like a foul ball territory, like behind a screen or something. You know?
Also like the thing is, if you don't ban this guy, you're basically making it like known that anybody can reach over and there's going to be no consequences.
It becomes a part of the ballpark dimensions. You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
like you have to play the carom off of the monster. Well, how about in Arizona at Chase Field? You got to play this fucking one dude's fat fucking hand in your face.
Wow. So he said he's been reviewed 9 or 10 times. I was hoping the team would allow him back for Tuesday's game against the Giants. 9 or 10. He's claiming it's been 9 or 10 times. That's insane.
It's kind of a generational run by this guy, but I don't like that at a certain point. It's like, what are you doing? And these are some insane reach overs too. I think there has been a couple instances where he's actually helped the team. It feels like there was a 1 or 2 plays where the opposing outfielder had a play on the ball. So I guess he knows what he's doing. Like he knows he knows like that he's not going to interfere with his guys. Because some of the comments were like
he interfered last night with his guy.
Yeah, that was the double. No, but I don't think he would have had a play though. But maybe you could argue that that was probably the closest one, and he was well over the wall too. Like his leg came up behind him. Like he really reached. But there's been a few, like I thought there was maybe an A's player, if I could be mistaken, on the team, that he felt like it looked like he was camped under it, and he kind of brought it back. And that review stood, and that play stood a home run.
Is this the John Boy video you're talking about?
I don't know. Was it? It could have been.
Because John Boy did. I'm watching a John Boy video right now, and they did a what's it called?
Like they did it
on it. Like I forget his name, but like This guy's nuts. He's absolutely nuts. He sits in the same spot. If that ball's hit there, he's reaching over every single time. He did
Yeah.
it. Oh my god, this guy for the one last night, his whole body was over the freaking wall.
His
His
leg
whole
came up.
body.
Pretty insane. Pretty insane. And yeah, like you said, I totally agree. After like the first time, you think he'd be more, but he is doing it to, I think, like not to, like some of these calls were home runs and they stood. I thought those were closer plays that could have been outs. So I think he's like kind of strategically doing it, but like he thinks he's the 10th man. I think he's a dork for that. Like he's trying to get signed at the age. Like I don't know. If it's like a kid, I don't know. I think a kid wouldn't do it more than once because they'd
He's
be
trying
like,
to become a martyr.
yeah, yeah.
He's trying to become a martyr.
He's trying to get a fucking plaque or something or a statue at Chase Field. It's ridiculous at this point. But kind of want to see him go for 5 next year. I hate that I want to like maybe root for. I'm not even rooting for him, but it's just like 4's kind of, or maybe just leave it at 4. He's done enough. I don't know.
All right.
Next thing, a little vibe check as we get going here is the current playoff picture. Now, this says if the postseason started today, this was a picture, I think, from MLB on Instagram that was yesterday's stuff. It's the same teams that are in question here. I think it'll be flip-flopped a little bit. I think Toronto might have just gotten ahead of Tampa Bay.
They jumped them last night with their win. I think Tampa Bay might have. Tampa Bay's on a 3-game skid right now, so I think Toronto just jumped them.
So they're ahead by like a half a game in the wild card. But however, the 4 and the 5 would play each other regardless. So that is true. All of this is actually the AL side is still right. Just the seeding would be a little different. But it's the same teams playing each other. The National League side, how does this stack up?
National League is still the same. The Brewers just jumped the Mets.
So the Brewers would be the 3 or the 4 rather.
The Brewers are up half a game on the Mets right now. Okay. That's it. But it's all still the same team.
No, I think the Mets are up half. So that's the same. The only difference is really the Cubs and the Phillies are tied. So one would be a 2, one would be a 3.
And we have the tiebreaker right now.
Okay. So that's right. And then the call. So this looks pretty correct, except for the fact that Tampa Bay would be a 5 right now and Toronto would be a 4, but it's all the same teams. Let's hear it though.
I'll say this, but if it ended today and the Phillies got the bye, I'd be cool with that. Give these guys some rest. Obviously, we'll probably talk about this closer than when we get to the playoffs. People have talked about how the bye is a bad thing for teams. Yep. I don't agree with that, even though in the past, like when the Phillies haven't had the bye, they've went further. When they have had the bye, they got trashed. But last year's team was not going to do it. I think everybody knew that. If you were a real Phillies fan, you kind of knew it. If you watched them all year last year, you knew deep down they weren't going to do it. You know what I mean? Like the Mets were super hot coming in. But I digress. We'll talk about the bye another episode. Get into it. But if it's the Cubs or St. Louis, I'm happy with either of those teams because right now, say the Cubs don't make a single trade at the deadline. I like our chances against their pitching. I think our hitting can compete with the Cubs hitting because in their past series it has. And I think our pitching is 10 times better than the Cubs. On the opposite side, St. Louis, I think our batters can get to St. Louis, and I think our pitching is 10 times better than St. Louis as well. So I like our matchup right now with how it ends. On the opposite side of things, Brewers Mets would be a really good series in my eyes.
A little rematch from last year's wild card round.
Brewers are hot right now. We all know that the Brewers kind of, when they get into the playoffs, they kind of, in our generation at least, they kind of stink. They choke a lot of years when they're good. The people are like, oh, this is our year, and then they just lose in the first round most of the time. Mets kind of had the same storyline, besides last year where they went on that run. But I think that'd be a great series. On the opposite end, Toronto, Tampa Bay, 2 scrappy teams. That'd be fun. I think Detroit would handle either of them to come in. I wouldn't want to see Tampa Bay if I was Detroit. I'd rather see the Blue Jays. Then your guys, I think they have a very good matchup against the Mariners. Granted, the Mariners, their pitching, George Kirby looks like he's turning around. He's had a couple solid starts coming here, so their pitching's kind of something scary. their hitting's nothing to shout home about unless they make some moves at the deadline, which the Mariners I don't think are too notorious for that. So like I don't think we're even going to see the Mariners in this post playoff picture at the end. One thing that sucks for you guys is you get Houston second round, and that sucks. I'm scared of Houston. I would not want to play Houston.
Yeah, I'm with you. Starting in the NL, for me, the thing that jumps out is for how good the NL West is. How about only the Dodgers right now, the first place team? So, I mean, yes, you have Padres and Giants knocking on the door, but if the season would end today, yeah, you're only seeing one NL West team currently with a playoff spot. I think that does change, but that's kind of crazy because all eyes have been on the West and how tight that race has been and all the solid teams coming in. You're not going to take anyone in the West that lightly. Maybe the Rockies, but you get the point. In terms of because even the Diamondbacks are a fourth place team in that division. They're going to play you hard. So the NL West has been really good all year, but as of right now, it's just the first place Dodgers who are the 1 seed. On the AL side, I mean, pretty much up until June, there's been eyes on the Central and how some of those teams now that a lot of those teams have come back down to earth, and I think we anticipated that. But right now, the sneaky East with Tampa Bay and Toronto kind of coming in, while Minnesota, Cleveland kind of dropped. Kansas City really can't seem to get anything going. So we'll see. I mean, at the beginning of the year, I had one team from the AL Central making the playoffs after 3 made it last year. Then we had a conversation weeks ago about how many teams from the Central make the playoffs, and this is back when Kansas City was still in 4th, and the playoff picture looked different because Minnesota and Cleveland were there, and obviously Detroit was number 1. You asked the question, how many teams make the Central knowing what we know now, make the playoffs out of the Central knowing what we know now, and I was like, 2, motherfucker. Fuck Minnesota, fuck Cleveland, it's Detroit and Kansas City. We clipped that on TikTok, and then there were some people from Cleveland fans and Minnesota fans being like, no, they're not. Well, now they're not in it at all. Kansas City, who I really did like, is nowhere to be seen either. They're even below those 2. But the AL Central, who all eyes were a bit on the Central at the beginning, they've come back down to earth. I see that continuing to happen. I only think maybe 1 or 2 Central teams, so we'll see. And I am with you with Seattle. I don't know if they continue.
So this is the crazy thing. Like, I don't think that, I don't think Seattle's gonna be there at the end, which is kind of wild because who replaces them? Because you talk about the AL and how almost bad. There's such a drop off in talent after a couple of teams. I don't even think the Blue Jays will probably be there at the end. I think they're a scrappy team, but I don't think they're an all put together team. I think their pitching can be good. They're hot right now, but I don't think they'll keep it up. And I don't think they have the lineup to sustain this kind of what the run they're on, I would say.
Yeah.
So maybe somehow the Red Sox are only 2.5 games out of the wild card. Red Sox on paper are a better playoff team than the Mariners or the Blue Jays too. I think Tampa Bay is going to be there no matter what. But the second team to go in, which this is absolutely nuts to me, with how bad the Texas Rangers have been this year, they are 2.5 games outside of the wild card right now. Wild. That is nuts to me that they are still both those teams. The Texas Rangers and the Boston Red Sox are both 2.5 games out of the wild card. But all I'm going to say is you better watch out for those 2 teams because on paper, they have the roster. If they can make it to the break and they can say 500, I truly think come October, those 2 teams will be in the playoffs.
I like that too because, like you said, on paper, they are the sexier teams. Seattle's been weird, but they got off to a really good start. They've been able to maintain it enough. They lose their spot in first place, but they're able to maintain a position right now where they're 3 games over 500, where Boston and Texas are 2 games under, but not terribly out of the wild card picture. But even ahead of them in the wild card picture are the Angels, who 1.5 back from Seattle, and they're a 500 team. I don't think the Angels do it. And then you got teams like Cleveland, Minnesota. I don't have them there. Of course, I want to see Kansas City because I've been high on them, but they're putting themselves in a bit of a hole. Either way, if it's not Seattle, if it's not Toronto, which seems to be some of the more likely candidates to kind of get bumped, in this race, yeah, I mean, I don't see the Angels either. So Boston and Texas make sense. And like you said, if they can, we're 2 games under right now, it's not really the end of the world for them. If they're in the National League side, maybe you kind of worry a little bit more. But for the since they're on the AL side, you talk about the drop off of talent after probably Tampa Bay. It's like, yeah, it kind of opens doors for these teams, and if they can get to 500, maybe a little over 500 at the break, have a really good second half, yes, they can make these pushes. Where Seattle, again, yeah, they don't have the offense to really do it. They have to do something at the deadline. If they don't, I can see them dropping. And I think Texas will do something at the deadline. So hopefully that helps them too.
So like this, all of this, like with the playoff picture, this is why I think this deadline is going to be so fun. I think the Angels become sellers, and that's why after the deadline they start to tank a little bit more. I think the Angels want more pieces. They know they don't have it all right now, and they can get some pieces for like a Tyler Anderson, who actually started out July hot. I think he pitched a gem of a game the other day. The Rangers, I think, are also somewhat probably going to sell as well. But when they sell, they're going to get some MLB ready talent back in return. Like I think Adolis Garcia goes for the Rangers. I don't think he stays on the Rangers kind of thing. I think somebody else goes for him. But I think that's going to help them more than it's going to hurt them in a sense. I think that they can do it. They can make those deadline moves. I have zero faith in the Mariners front office becoming and going out and getting something to help the Mariners because they have never in the past.
And we could see maybe some of their things are turning around for Texas a little bit. I know Semion's been a little hot as of late. So that's a good sign for them. And then maybe, if one guy, if they have a couple veterans that have been not living up to par so far this season, it's been a big reason why their offense has been quiet. And now if some of these guys can get going, because it's hard to believe that some of these guys would be cold forever. If they get going, hitting's contagious, and then everyone follows suit, and their young guys can also just add to the party. But for this though, if we go to the NL side, I do think the Cubs are a tough team despite their pitch. I do think they will get pitching at the deadline. If the season ends today, though, that's what we're talking about. I do think the Cubs will get through that wild card round against St. Louis. That'd be a really good. I mean, that would be incredible. That might be the best wild card series right now. Cubs and Cardinals, little division shit, rivals and shit. So, and then I think they would play the Phillies really hard. I like to think that the Phillies pitching can outduel them, and the Phillies can get to a championship series like that. And then you have to believe that the Mets would do it over Milwaukee. But if it's right now, the Mets are one of the colder teams. But I think the Dodgers, it would be tough for them. I think they can get through Milwaukee. I don't think they get through the Dodgers. So maybe we look at a Phillies-Dodgers championship series, which would be crazy. On the AL side, it's really tough not to bet on Tigers and Houston in the championship series because, I mean, those are clearly the two best teams in the American League side, and the Yankees struggle with beating good teams. So I'd be scared for that. The best thing for the Yankees is really if they are going to be not a top 2 team and don't get that bye, I don't want them playing Tampa Bay because I think Tampa Bay would give them fucking trouble. And then you got to get through Houston or Detroit. And it's like, good luck. That's a tough path. It's a harder path than they had last year. Maybe they're a better team than last year. You could argue. Maybe they're not. I don't fucking know. Right now, they're not playing like it. So I'd be scared shitless for the Yankees to try to get through Houston, who's a well-oiled machine. And then you got maybe Detroit then too. Like it's going to be crazy for them. But it really looks like if the season would end today, I'm kind of leaning Dodgers and Detroit in the World Series. And that's just easy to say because they're the two best teams in baseball. So why not? But again, you still have a lot of baseball left, and we'll see who gets hot at the right time, who looks really good in the playoffs. See if the Padres make a push. The Giants are in the conversation too. You talked about the AL with Texas and Boston, and we'll see how things shape up as the season progresses.
Yeah, this is kind of the cool thing about the postseason baseball is this will not be the playoff look at the end of the year.
And for St. Louis too, like they have things to address at the deadline. I mean, there's 3 NL Central teams, by the way, here. That's just kind of crazy. And are the Cardinals going to be buyers? Are they going to be sellers? I don't fucking know with the Cardinals.
Like every single team with regards to like maybe like Detroit and Houston, like not needing much. Like the Phillies need bullpen help. Cubs need pitching help as it is. St. Louis kind of needs hitters. Dodgers don't really need a whole lot. If anything, actually, they don't need anything. But like Brewers probably need another hitter. Mets are probably looking for pitching help as well. Then you get over to like Tampa Bay and Blue Jays. They could use whatever. They could use anything. They could use pitching depth. They could use another hitter. Both those teams. Blue Jays more probably leaning towards pitching than hitting. Detroit, maybe not a whole lot. They don't need. Houston, kind of the same. Maybe they want some bullpen help or pitching help. But even with Hader and Abreu in that bullpen, you don't really need a whole lot of help if you're Houston. Yankees, what are you looking for out of the Yankees?
The fuck knows, dude.
A situational hitter. That's what you guys.
Yeah, situational hitter. I mean, I know what I like personally. I don't know if they go out and do it. I wouldn't mind another outfielder. I'm also was willing to deal Jason Dominguez, but I think he's been better at the plate lately. But I just had a short leash with him. I don't know why. But yeah, maybe another offensive piece. Bullpen never hurts. The Yankees are never shy with getting bullpen either. So maybe there's that.
Yeah. And then the Mariners need hitters, as we talked about before. So like a lot of these teams still need to clear some stuff up at the deadline.
Yeah, I think the big thing with the Yankees maybe a third baseman. That's what they're gonna go shopping for, a third baseman.
We'll talk about that later. Later. I got a big name for you then.
Yeah. And I think your name has been one of the guys that have been circulating these conversations. But again, there's a lot of trade deadline talk as we move forward and all-star stuff too. But before we get to all that good juice, play a little concern, panic, or doom. Now, we played this a little while ago, and now we can revisit some of these conversations. And then now, as we are just started July, let's see how some of these teams look.
All right, so you highlighted 3 teams. I added 2 more. The 3 teams that you had are probably teams that are considered good. So we'll start out with the AL East, and we'll go with the Red Sox right now. 14-12 in June. They've looked rougher since they've traded Devers. They've looked rough at the plate. Still winning record, 14-12, as I said, in June. Are you concerned? Should fans start panicking, or is it just doom and gloom over there for the Red Sox right now?
Yeah, so when we first did this, it was concern on Boston that there was definitely a little concern they can turn it around. This is back when they still had Devers. Now I do think they're in a bit of a state of panic. I don't know how, like the way that they're built, I don't know if it's right for this year. I think you look at their record post Devers, they had like a maybe 5-6 game losing streak in that span. I'm not saying they should have kept Devers. It could have been. I think it's maybe the right move to get rid of him. If they could have got more for Devers in that trade, that's a different conversation. But right now, they don't have Rafi. And okay, fine. That's one thing. But now it's a lot of these young guys. And I think in the short term, like this year, the remainder of this year, I don't know if that's the answer. Personally, I think in long term, when you bring in young guys, it's good to have maybe not like I don't want to say there's so many young guys, but like there's a lot of guys getting their feet wet at the major league level. It's like this rush of talent. I think Chris Young on MLB Network put it, and it's like you have to let these guys get their feet wet and develop. And if they're doing that with added pressure on, hey, we should be a playoff team, it's like, well, let these kids breathe a little bit. So in the short term, I'm kind of panicking and saying that they're not going to be a playoff team. I don't know if that's panic for Boston. Maybe the vibes and the narrative of the season changed with the whole Devers thing and with their current state. Bregman comes back, it's going to be really good for them, and they're still only 2 games under. So you could be optimistic like that if you're a Red Sox fan. But I'm a little bit in a state of panic. I don't know who complements that staff behind Crochet. In the Devers trade, they got some guys. I don't know, but I don't know who complements that staff behind Crochet. If you're going to roll out 2 or 3 dudes for a playoff series after Crochet, I mean, there's a big dip, So, I mean, if you look at the Yankees' second guy, if it's Rodon, what is it? Rodon versus Brian Balo? And that's a kind of a lopsided pitching duel there. So I don't know if they have, or even the Tigers, look at their staff. And then you got to bring out, like, who is it? Bello? Is it the other dude that they got from San Fran? Like, I really just don't know who's. So maybe it's fucking Walker Buehler because he has playoff experience. But either way, I just don't think the staff is there. They can. That's something they could address at the deadline with Bregman coming back. That's going to feel like a deadline acquisition. Like they just brought in a stellar hitter, even though he's just coming off the IL, so it might have that feel to it. But I just don't see it. I think there's they don't have the experience that some of these teams do. I think short term, not a playoff team for that reason. I think you'd panic. Long term, let the kids play. I think they could all be really good players and they're competitive again. But I think this is another year where Red Sox miss the playoffs. They've only have one playoff burst since the start of the decade. So for that reason, especially the anticipation and the expectations for this team entering the season, I do think you're in a bit of a state of panic. But like you said, Bregman comes back, and if they can get to 500 at the break, get hot at the right time, maybe the pitching figures itself out, make some moves to the deadline, maybe they could make a push. I'm a little bit more in a state of panic just because of how the lineup looks with all these young guys. To give them a chance to breathe, you're kind of just throwing them into a fire, and I don't know if that's good for the short term.
So I agree with you 100%. Like, so especially with your the quote about like these new guys letting them get their feet wet. So they're everyday players right now. I'm going to list off some names. You have Marcelo Meyer, Roman Anthony, Carlos Nevares, and then you get like Abreu, Duran, Rafaela, Story. You like more than half or more of those guys are young. They're like the second or third year or some in their first year in their MLB career. So if I'm a Red Sox fan looking at this, like I know your expectations were, hey, this is our year. Like this is gonna be a good year for us. We're gonna make a play for first place. But when I take a step back and I look at our roster, I'm like, we're not having a bad year for having half our team be first, second, or third year guys. You know what I'm like? Of course, like when you had Devers on your team, you had Duran, you had Abreu, you had Bregman, Story as well. Your team was a lot older, more experienced, and then the young guys were more role players and pieces that you added onto it. It's not the case anymore. Bregman hurt, Devers gone. That's two very notable guys. So if I'm a Red Sox fan and I'm looking at this team and we make the playoffs, that's a win in my book.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
You know, so like that is, I think they have to, and Boston, you know, they're not used to this kind of mid they've had, you know, with their Patriots, the Bruins, the Celtics, even the Red Sox in the past, like winning. You have to take a step back and be realistic of your team. And you have to, let these guys experience, because like 2 or 3 years down the line, if you guys keep all these pieces, you're going to be a damn good baseball team.
Yeah, you would think, right? And I think the same thing. Like, and I think at the beginning of the year, Boston fans thought they would be, and I thought too that they'd be competing with the Yankees as the 1-2 punch in this division. Well, now they're in fourth place. Again, not totally out of it, but yeah, you have a team like Toronto. I think people thought where Toronto is right now might be more what the Red Sox are doing with 47 wins and what are they, like a game out of first place or whatever the fuck it is? Yeah. And Tampa Bay game and a half out. So now you're just like, you got to play a little bit of catch up. And before you can even get to, I mean, the Yankees are hanging on by a thread in first place, but they're still there. And if to kind of get to the top of the division, you still have to go through teams like Tampa Bay and Toronto as of right now with 47 wins. It's just it's a bit of a hole for them. And I don't know with their young core. I mean, it pays to have some experience and veterans, and not like they don't, but we'll see what Story does when Bregman comes back. We'll see what he brings to the table or continues to add, because he's been in the clubhouse and shit. And
I just like wrapping up the Red Sox talk. I want to note, I think this team will be in the playoffs at the end of the year. I do. But once again, I don't think they're going to do anything in the playoffs, but I think that's a win for Red Sox fans. And I think that's how they have to look at their team almost. Like making the playoffs is a win. If
they make the playoffs, it would be a hell of a win. It'd be really good for them.
Yeah,
even get these young guys the taste of that playoff atmosphere.
Exactly. So like you're not competing for a World Series this year like you thought you were. You know, now you got to reevaluate your team. But anyway, we'll move on to an NL.
I don't think they make the playoffs, by the way. That's why.
Yeah, I know you don't. But we're gonna move on to an NL team. The Mets struggling a little bit. 12-15 in June. Concern, panic, or doom spin?
Yeah, I'm concerned. I'm concerned. You can't be totally panicked right now. I mean, they're only 2 games back, and I think we all expect Phillies Mets to be a bit of a dogfight from here on out. They've changed a few different times. I think this is the Phillies now third time in first place.
Yeah,
So
it's going to fluctuate the rest of
they,
the year.
I think so too, and it's just like who's hot. And right now, the Phillies are the hotter team. Maybe they've been a little trendy, but for the most part, pretty steady. And the Mets have really tanked recently. The reason I say concern, especially with Soto getting hot now, and he's in the. We'll talk about All Stars later in the program, and he's in the kind of. So that's kind of crazy that he made a push because he's been hot lately. But either way, uh, pretty fine lineup. You know, you have the big three, their big three. I'll just call it the big three, right? And then you decent little supporting cast. We'll see how they continue.
Sorry, hold on.
We'll see how the Mets continue to build to their roster. If they do, we know that they're not shy about Steve Cohen, not shy about spending money. But their big thing is pitching, and that's why I'm concerned. You need pitching that's going to help you down the stretch. They got some guys that are banged up. Maybe guys come back. I know Manaea. I don't know when he's coming back. I guess Senga's coming back somewhat soon. I don't think his IL stint's all that long, but I think I saw like early July is when he's set to come off the IL. Now, if they extend his IL stint, that I don't know. But either way, I know they had some guys that are banged up. I didn't love their pitching to begin with, even when it was at its peak, and that was always a concern. Is yes, it looks good in the first half or the first few months of the season, but how does it going to look long term? Is it sustainable to have these guys that I didn't see? And I keep saying this, I didn't see a lot of innings eaters on this team. Like I can respect Clay Holmes. I love David Peterson. I don't know if they're big innings eaters. We never see Clay Holmes out of in a starting role pitch this many innings. I don't know what a goal or expectation is in terms of Clay Holmes eating innings looks like this year. Miguel, I think, is banged up right now. I don't know if he was good. It was fun while it lasted. I don't know if he's this monstrous innings eater. I think Canning got banged up in his last start. Maybe he's an innings eater, maybe he's not, but it's not like he's historically like this guy that has a sub-3 ERA like he was the first few months. So I saw a few guys regressing, and I'm just questioning their big innings eaters that I don't know. Maybe Manaea could come back, and that would be fantastic for them. But I am a little concerned about their pitching. I think they're still a playoff team, but the pitching is what makes it concerning. And when you're cold, everything looks worse.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. It's the lowest level of concern because their lineup it's gonna turn around. They're just a little cold right now. The only concern you have is the pitching, and you touched on everything that you needed to. We don't have a big sample size of these pitchers being good for very long, and if you're gonna put any concern on their lineup, it's not on Soto, Lindor, or Alonso. We know what they can do. We know what they're capable of. The big three is gonna produce. But what I want to what put them so far apart from everybody last year was how their role players were playing. And right now, their role players aren't doing a whole lot. You know what I mean? Like Mark Vientos not having the best year that he did last year. They just DFA'd Francisco Alvarez, and he isn't doing great.
Did they?
Yeah, he's down under now. He's down in where are they? Where are they? Their AAA team.
I forget, but okay, he just got sent down though.
Yeah, sorry, not DFA. Sent down. He got sent down. But like he got sent down. He hasn't been doing much. Jeff McNeil, he's not looking great. Nimmo's looks solid. I'll say that. I hate Brandon Nimmo, but he's looked solid. But then like even like a Starling Marte or a Brett Beatty, like you need these guys to produce and stuff like that. And that's what happened last year. They produced for him. So if there's any concern with them, it's their pitching and their role players. But I don't think there's much concern. Like I said, I think it's going to fluctuate throughout the year.
Yeah, and as you were saying that, I was before you even got into like the Vientos and the Alvarez of the world, I was like thinking about that. Like, Vientos is now back, I guess, off the IL. I didn't even know he was back, but if he can turn like that, would be a big piece to at least deepen a lineup. If he can do it a little bit what he did last year, even like half of it in the second half, like that'd be great for them. And then Alvarez, maybe he needs a reset when he comes back up. He's supposed to be this offensive catcher, and he really hasn't been anything to sneeze at. So those guys can seriously do a job, but until we see it, yeah, they have big three. They needed more depth in their lineup and the pitching. I agree.
So then we'll move on to another NL East team, the Braves. Just threw Chris Sale on the 6-day IL with a rib cage injury. Big big loss for a struggling team. They were 11-15 in June spin. 11-15. And with Acuna coming back, I think it was in June, right? It was beginning of June, or maybe end of May. But 11-15, nonetheless, they are now sitting in fourth place, 38-46, 11 and a half games back. Concern, panic, or doom, Spin?
This might be our first doom. It might be doom, man. And we were holding on from Atlanta and saying, okay, it's not too late. It's not too late. Well, now it's July, and they're on a 2-game losing streak, so that's not the way you want to start the month. Is lose, and this isn't the first time that they started a month on a losing streak. I think there's been a handful of times, or at least 2. They started the year on like a 7-game losing streak, and I think they started another month, maybe was it May or whatever it was, like on a 7-game losing streak. So they've started months on terrible foots, and yeah, you can see it in their record. What are they, 8 games under? The Marlins just passed them. So crazy stuff. I mean, if the Marlins are going to take a lesson from anybody, it's like, hey, if we get hot at the right time, we can climb in the standings. Now, I think they're still 11 games back, but they can climb. So the Braves, you like to think that they're more put together on paper. If they get hot, they can climb, and they can climb even greater than the Marlins because of what they look like on paper. But they put themselves in such a big fucking hole. We keep saying if they climb, if they get hot. Well, they still haven't been. They're still losing games. And now we just started July. The All-Star game's right around the corner. I think they put themselves in too big of a hole. We keep saying if they get hot, if they get hot, if they can do this. And at the beginning of the season, yes, that was fine to talk about. But now we're like past the halfway point, and they still haven't done it. I think it's doom. I don't think they're a playoff team, which is crazy. I had them winning the division.
Yeah, you have when you have Ozzy Albies, Michael Harris, and Ozuna just coming off the IL, but like all 3 of those guys not producing for you in the ways they have been in the past. You're like Matt Olson's playing well, and Acuna's playing well. Austin Riley's going to be Austin Riley, but he's not having probably his best year either. It's very glaring, and it's worrisome, and it's very worthy of a doom, because even when you go to you talk about their bullpen, Raisel Iglesias, who should be one of the best closers in the league, he's got a 5.28 ERA this year. And then you look at their starting pitching, which we were like, this starting staff has the potential to be one of the better ones in the league. Well, they have one guy with an under 3 ERA, and guess what? He just got hurt. He's done. So now I'm at the point where if I'm an Atlanta fan, I am extremely worried. I'm not just a little worried. I'm very worried, because now the Braves have never been shy at the deadline of going and getting people, right? They've never that's how they won the World Series. When they won the World Series, they went and got pieces at the deadline, and they turned it right around. That's not going to happen this time around. They need way too much and they need Michael Harris, and they need Albies, and they need Ozuna. They've had 80 games to turn it around, and they just haven't. They haven't looked great.
They're almost in like the worst situation you could possibly be in. And this is what scares you. And the Phillies almost run into this at times too, where it's like when it comes time to make moves, when you look at the roster, what do you actually need? But at the same time, they need a lot, but don't act like their players aren't good. But it's
exactly.
Like, you know what I mean?
The guys they have should be what they need. The guys they have there should be the guys, and they just aren't. So if I'm a Braves fan, I want them to almost kind of consider this year a wash and not move anybody, because I am happy with our team, because our team in the past has been this good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I know our guys can do it. Like, with the 3-headed monster of Sale, Strider, and Schwelly, you should be one of the better pitching staffs in the league. Now, Strider, he's 3-6 on the year with a 3.86 ERA. Shout out to all our people who said that Spencer Strider hated our Spencer Strider overrated take. Your boy's 3-6 this year. But like Chris Sale, he's injured more often than he's not nowadays. On the back end of his career, he's getting hurt a lot. Schwelly, he's 7-4 with a 3.09, so that's not bad at all. But then you have like Grant Holmes, who's 4-7 with a 3.47 ERA. Bryce Elder, who's 2-5 with a 5.82 ERA. So their pitching needs to be looked at in a sense, but If I'm a Braves fan, I'm saying don't move anybody, but you're definitely not getting anything out of this year.
Yeah, and even if Ronaldo Lopez, who I think he's set to return the first week of August, okay, great. Doesn't who cares? You're already too big of a hole. And even if Profar comes back, I think late July, and maybe a little bit before the deadline, it's like even still, we're still saying if this, if that, and even if they do get hot and they all start playing well, I still think the hole that they dug for themselves is too damn big. They're out of it. Doom on Atlanta.
And then we're moving on. Guardians. We talked about a little AL Central earlier, how hot they were in the beginning of the year. Talk of the town. They at one point had like 4 teams in the playoffs. Now they have 1. The Guardians are 9-16 in June. Spin 5-game losing streak currently. I think they hold the longest losing streak right now in the MLB. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that is the case. Yeah,
definitely the AL.
Yep. So, is it doom? Is it gloom? Is it panic? What are we looking at here? Concern, panic, or doom? Spin.
They're doomed, and the only thing that's going to keep them going is the fact that they're fucking doomed. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I was going to say the only thing that keep them going is that like the other teams that are kind of right there in their division also have 40 wins. Cleveland, Minnesota, Kansas City, all with similar records. They all have 40 wins, but Cleveland just has the least amount of losses out of all of them. The way that the Tigers are playing, we don't expect any of those teams to win the division. But if you can make a playoff push and sneak in, and even still, who are they going to flip flop with? Being an under 500 team and being one of the coldest teams, or if probably the coldest team entering July. I think they're doomed. They really and I like Stephen Kwan. I voted for him to start in the All-Star game. He was a finalist for the round 2 of voting. I like him, and obviously J Rams there. I don't think it's enough and I didn't have this team make the playoffs to start the year because I don't think they have enough offensively. I don't necessarily hate their pitching, but I don't know if they have like a true ace. And I don't hate Bibby. I don't hate him, and if Bieber comes back, I think he's set to somewhat soon. That's good for them. Maybe having an established true ace. They haven't dug themselves into as big of a hole as Atlanta. So like maybe having a true ace and Bieber is good, and the rest of that rotation can back them. But I don't think they have enough offensively. I don't hate their back end of the bullpen. Clase isn't having the season he had last year though. But still don't hate it. They have a lot of these scrappy little dudes that can go out and give you good outings and do their job out of the pen. I don't think it's enough though, and they certainly don't have enough offense to prevail.
I also think they're doomed. I think it's pretty cut and dry. They're just doomed. All I want to know is how many more years they're going to waste of Jose Ramirez's career, because it's kind of sad. This guy puts on every single year, and they just refuse to bring anything in to help him out, and that's what sucks.
Yeah.
But we'll move on from them. Get to your team that you were high on, the Royals. 2-8 in their last 10. 8-18 in June. Spin. 8-18. That ain't great. That's rough.
So I'm not totally doomed on them. They're past concern though. So there's a state of panic in Kansas City. Now I think what they need at the deadline is quite evident, and I do think that they should be making splashes at the deadline to bring in a power bat, to bring in an outfielder, maybe whatever it is, and we'll see. And I think Bobby Witt can be. We can see Bobby, like the Bobby Witt of last year, that he was he could be a one-man wrecking crew at times, but we haven't really. He has 11 home runs on the season. I don't hate the 286 and the stolen bases. That's what he's been good for. But there's a time, but after last year, we expect him to be a 30-30 guy and be an absolute aircraft carrier for this team and a superstar. We're not really seeing it to that extent. He's still a darn good player. He's still probably be an all-star, but we're not seeing it to that extent. So I do think if he can really get, because you could argue that he's cold right now. He's hitting 286.
Yeah.
And you can argue that he's been cold. That's how good he is, and that's what the expectations are on Bobby Witt. But regardless of that, basically for this, the only reason I'm not doomed on them is because they still have 40 wins, and this is the same reason I thought that they were the real deal at the beginning of the season, is because I do think that they're the most well-rounded and well-put-together team. I kind of like their 1 through 6 in the lineup, at least on paper, more than I like teams like Cleveland and Minnesota's 1 through 6 on paper. I their pitching staff has been good. I think Estevez should be a fucking all-star. Right? I think he will be. So that you talk about in all facets, in the bullpen, at the starting rotation, on paper 1 through 6 looks all right. I think they need a more of a offensive piece, and maybe that's what the deadline is going to be good for them. Maybe they don't do shit at the deadline because I had a Kansas City fan tell me that they are notoriously somewhat stingy at the deadline. But if they can make a splash, I think in the American League, right? If they're in the National League, maybe be more leaning towards doom. But the American League, it seems to be a little bit more wide open. And if they can make a splash at the deadline, have a really good second half, I think that they could fight for a 5 or 6, maybe the 6th seed in the wild card. So I'm not totally out on them, but they really got to get their shit together.
Here's the crazy thing, Spen. I'm looking at the numbers for June for their hitters. So if you want to say their top 5 guys, right? The top 5 guys. You got Salvi. He hit 253, hit 5 bombs, 20 ribbies. Pretty solid June, right? Bobby Witt, 292, 5 bombs, 14 ribbies. Vinny hit 293, 4 bombs, 16 ribbies. Michael Garcia, 294, 3 bombs, 14 ribbies. And Jonathan India, 273, 3 bombs, 10 RBIs. So their top 5 guys are getting it done. It's kind of that bottom of the what am I trying to say here? Bottom of the lineup that you kind of want to address at the deadline. That's why I'm not completely panicked. I mean, completely doomed on this team. There's a little panic. Like the June numbers look good, but here's what's kind of concerning was their best facet all year has been their pitching, right? Seth Lugo had a 1.26 ERA in June. Fantastic June. That's pretty unbelievable. That's an awesome. But then you get like Lorenzen, 6.23 ERA in June. Michael Wacha, 5.40 ERA in June. Chris Bubich, 5.23 ERA in June. Noah Cameron, 4.50 ERA in June. So it seems like they're hitting, taking a step up, right? But their pitching seems to be coming a little bit back down to earth. So I don't think their pitching will stay like that. I think the pitchers in that are too good. But I do think that this team can eventually put it all together, especially if they go get a bat at this deadline.
And right around the deadline is going to be when Reagans comes back, or he's set to come back. So maybe Reagans a good addition. He hasn't been like the ace that we thought he'd be this year, but we know that he can be good, and I think that could help the rotation as well. And if Noah Cameron continues to be a guy, maybe you move Lorenzen into the pen. I don't know what they're fucking gonna do, but something like that. And Reagans can kind of help deepen this staff, go out and get a hitter or two at the deadline. We'll see. And the division that they're in, I mean, the second place team is under 500. I don't know if there's another division out there where the second place team is under 500. So I think the division that they're in, I think that the way that they look like on paper compared to the teams that they kind of have to fight against, Minnesota, Cleveland, I think that I like Kansas City the most, at least on paper. But yeah, they have to put it all together. That's no secret. Maybe the month of July is when they do that.
Yeah.
And if they don't, maybe I'm on doom. But for right now, panic in Kansas City.
But before we move on, we were talking about the bad. Let's talk about some of the good in June. We got the Astros, 20-7 in the month of June. Great record. Brewers 16-9. Blue Jays 17-10. Rays 17-11. Diamondbacks and the Angels both went 16-11 as well. Who's kind of the most surprising when you hear that list right there?
You know what? It's probably a team like Toronto, who's kind of been they've been lingering all year, and then they've been lingering all year, and Toronto basically did in June what we kept wanting, at least I wanted Kansas City to do, or maybe we thought Atlanta would do, or and really just you were lingering, maybe you were like all right, and then you shoot up. There's been I wanted Arizona to do those things, and Toronto really did, winning 17-27. Good for them. That's shocking. And also, I know the Diamondbacks did have a pretty good June, but I'm kind of leaning towards the Angels, who had the same June record at 16-11. I know that Ron Washington isn't. He's going to be gone for the whole year, with like health issues or whatever. So okay, they can, let's see if they continue to hold on without a legendary baseball guy in Ron Washington. But they got to 500. That's where they're sitting at right now. And so good for the Angels. That is somewhat shocking because they've kind of they got off to a hot start. trend down. They might have had, I don't know if they were ever in last place, but they were kind of flirting with like in fourth place for a little bit. And now they've proven to be a little bit better than Texas as we enter July. So good for the Angels. I'm shocked on that. And then Toronto playing as good as they are, another little shocker there.
I would agree with that. I'm not really shocked by the Astros having a good record in June, but 20-7, damn, that's talk about a shakeup of the standings when you list off, those names. Been some damn good baseball being played, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and how about with that really good June, Houston, who didn't get off to the greatest of starts, but they really cleaned it up in the last few months, puts them at 51 wins, which is better than a team like San Diego or San Fran, who got off to really good starts. It's better than the Cubs right now. They have one more win than the Cubs, one more win than the Phillies, a couple more wins than the Mets. So Houston really showing everybody that they are still a well-oiled machine. They take care of business, and that's what's scary about them.
Yeah, and then some other good notables, kind of some bad teams doing all right. We've got the Pirates, 24-24 since they fired Derek Shelton. Buckers on a 5-game win streak, included with the sweep of the boys and queens of the Mets. We love that. Keep the apple in the hole, Buccos. Thank you very much. The Pirates, what I wanted to pose a question to you is I was having a conversation last night with our resident Pirates fan, Tyler. Shout out Tyler. He claims that the Pirates are 2 good hitters away from being a playoff team. Says they lose a lot of games, like 3-1, 2-1. Their pitching staff has been fantastic this year. Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, even Andrew Heaney, our boy. Bailey Falters look great this year as well. Like, they've had some very great pitching. They got some guys in the pen as well who have been they have Bednar, and they have Bednar and Santana, who have looked great for them. So they're pitching. They even have a guy coming up goes by the name of Bubba Chandler, who also is a top pitching prospect as well. Their pitching is great over there in Pittsburgh. Are they a couple hitters away from being a playoff team, Spin?
I think they need a little bit more still. I think the full story on them losing the games that they do is also a big part of their pen. So it's never a bad idea to get bullpen arms. I think is his name Dennis Santana.
Dennis, yeah.
So I like him. I think what I would do if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm really selling I'm selling like a motherfucker. And I'm probably selling guys in the starting rotation in particular. I think if you can get something at the deadline for a Mitch Keller, who his ERA is under 4, he's 2-10, but we won't dwell on that with on the team that he's on, because even Skeens has a losing record on this team. So whatever. But if teams see something in Keller, they see value in him, I'd probably try to get little pieces here and there for these guys, and then knowing that if they don't sell Skeens, which I don't think they will, knowing that you have Bubba Chandler on the up and up, Jared Jones coming back next year, then you can kind of clear some space for them. And I don't hate Mike Burrows, realistically. I think he's a fine little pitcher, Mike Burrows. But we'll see. And I would probably even get rid of Heaney. He's a left-handed arm that maybe teams would value at the deadline. I don't know. But I'm trying to clear some of this stuff up, bring guys in. I don't think you go deep with this pitching staff if they were to kind of say everything looked identical in the staff in 2026 and they did bring in some hitters. First of all, I think the only way you bring in hitters is if by dealing some of these guys in the staff, maybe even dealing Brian Hayes or something. I think Washington's a good fit for him. So yeah, I don't know I think there's a lot of touch-ups that they have to do to the staff, and that's going to allow them to bring in hitters. I think the bullpen needs a lot of work. I don't even really love Bednar, but maybe Pirates fans have a special spot in their heart for Bednar. I think he's a PA guy anyway. Is he a
Westchester guy? The Pirates fans love Bednar. They love him.
He's like a PA. Yeah, so I like his story. He might have been like a D2 guy or whatever. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but either way, like they have a special spot. So, but you'd have to get rid of him, and I wouldn't mind making Santana the closer for the future if he's proven to be good in high leverage situations. But they have to touch up more than just those guys in the pen. There's more stuff there that has to be addressed. I think they need a hitting coach is going to be big for them. And I think the hitting coach has to be best friends with O'Neal Cruz and Brian Roberts, because they have to get going. I mean, the two hitters that they're looking for could arguably be Brian Roberts and O'Neal Cruz, and then you can bring in some if those can be big name motherfuckers, 2020 guys maybe not so much Roberts, or was that his name, Brian? Yeah, maybe not so much him, but he has to wake up at the plate. Like he could literally be their motherfucker. They could be hit their guy with O'Neal Cruz being their young up and coming guy. Like that could be the identity of this team. But when they're not playing to that caliber, maybe O'Neal Cruz is, but Roberts certainly isn't. Then yes, it doesn't look great. So if you can surround them, if they can really turn around and start building an identity to this team, starting with those big two, and then from there going out and getting other offensive pieces that can kind of add to it, I think that's a great start. But I think still don't love their pitching staff per se. Maybe it can be masqueraded better if the offense could hit, but I think it's a little bit more. But yeah, it's not. It's good to see them on a 5-game win streak, and now maybe there's glimpses of what they could be in the near future. But there's also, I think it's a little bit more. A couple, yes, I mean, who are the hitters that Tyler's talking about? It's like, yeah, you need two studs maybe, and then Roberts takes a step back, and he's just like a guy who's also there, who's productive, but not like superstar caliber. And then O'Neal Cruz can do what he does, maybe breathe a little bit better with more guys in the offense, but you still need better bullpen. I still think the way you get some of these guys is by dealing your pitching staff. But good news is Jared Jones, Bubba Chandler, that'd be nice. They do develop pitchers really well in Pittsburgh. That's the one thing they do well.
Which is kind of crazy and then they get rid of them. So if they can actually hang on to these guys, that'd be great. That'd be great for Pittsburgh because we previously have talked about some of the notable guys who have left there. You talk about like a Charlie Morton or Glass now. Like there's a lot of guys who were in Pittsburgh that were fantastic, but they ended up ultimately moving away from. He was saying he wants, like, if they are going to trade, because they do have two pieces in that pen that they can get rid of and be sellers at that deadline, which we're gonna get into that later when we get to our trade scenarios. But he was saying he would like young, MLB ready guys who are they don't have to have a track record of being good hitters, but are projected to be good hitters. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like around that. And if they don't get that, he doesn't want them traded, basically.
Yeah, I wouldn't even want the projected guys. I kind of want more of established stuff because anytime the Pirates have had projected this, projected that, I mean, how has it worked? I mean, what's Henry Davis doing? I'm big on being super aggressive at the deadline and dealing Skeens personally. And I know you made a claim a while back of Skeens to the Dodgers makes a whole lot of sense. I think I would entertain that. And if you could bring in, I don't think they would do this, but if you can bring in, I mean, I'm being very greedy in that though, and maybe after
you have to get generational talent. Like your team has to be good you have to get guys that are going to make your team good for like 6 to 7 years.
And what I'm doing is I'll throw Henry Davis in the mix too because he's a catcher. He wouldn't start on the Dodgers anyway, but at least you have a guy who could be good and maybe a backup that's his career. Whatever, maybe he could play a little left too. I know he's done that when he first came up. But either way, give me like a James Outman say, which I know it's not the sexiest, but you have to have a huge haul here. Bring in a Hassan Kim. Bring in a Dalton Rushing, who's their backup catcher. That's now your starter. Outman's now in left field. Hassan Kim can play second. Maybe bring in a Landon Knick-Knack that can add depth to this rotation. Maybe another motherfucker. A big haul that would really be your team. Like, that's a huge chunk of your team. If you can do stuff for what can you get for Mitch Keller? What can you get for a Heaney? I think this is the deadline where they're showing some good stuff this year. And they're kind of notable dudes. They're more notable than – like I'm keeping Burrows and I think Bailey Falter at the back end. If Landon Knack comes in, I know next year I have Jared Jones, and then with Bubba Chandler, I don't know when he's scheduled to come to the major leagues, but that's kind of the 5 that I'm rolling with for the future, which I don't think it's horrible, especially the way that they develop pitching. They're probably going to have some of the first round picks or early picks that they can get pitching because they do a good job with that. You'd have to clean up the offense, and if you get a good haul from the Dodgers, that's a lot of your offense. Dalton Rushing, highly touted rookie, there's your catcher. Outman's had major league experience. I'm not saying he's your saving grace, but he shares an outfield with maybe a Roberts and a O'Neal Cruz. I think it looks better than what it is now. And the second, you need a lot of infield, and there's Hassan Kim for you. I think if you can deal uh, what's his name? The third baseman, Brian Hayes. Like I said, I think Washington's a good fit for him. You could deal him because they need a third baseman. If you can deal him, maybe bring in Finnegan and then flip Finnegan to a team who wants a playoff team this year who wants a closer. Flip Finnegan, see who you can bring. You know what I mean? Like get creative, but be aggressive at the same time.
The thing that sucks about the Pirates is those are everything you just said. Good in my eyes, good ideas, but they have a horrible front office. Horrible. So will it get done? No, it won't. And they'll just linger and linger because it sucks because any sort of playoff baseball or just playoffs in general in Pittsburgh is great. Is great. We've seen videos of it in the past when they were good and making the playoffs. It gets electric out there in Pittsburgh. So you have a fan base that cares and is going to show up for your guys, but you don't have a front office that can kind of get it done. All handcuffed by your owner, who's kind of an asshole. So,
and you know what? They have Tommy Pham too. It wouldn't be a trade deadline if Tommy Pham doesn't get dealt. So what do you get for? Not that you get anything crazy, but if you could package them, and you know, teams are going to seek value in certain guys because of you know, if they're a playoff team, you want depth, you want veterans. Like there's boxes that you're going to check, and the playoff teams are going to be looking at these things. So I do. That's how I would sell Tommy Pham or some of these other maybe IKF or whatever the fuck.
Listen to this. Tommy Pham has a batting average right now in June. His June average. Guess his June average.
9.093.
370. He hit three bombs in the month of June. He's getting ready for that deadline, dude.
He is getting ready for that deadline. He knows. So what's he doing on the season? 228. Okay, well, fuck it. Yeah, but still, he's like that veteran guy, plays with a little edge. Been around the block. I don't know. Maybe he's done with the whole deadline thing because of he is maybe like 37 now and hitting under 230. But still, I think there's. I could sell him with certain value. He wouldn't start.
He'll wind up on the Mets.
Yeah. Why fucking not?
But anyway, another team we want to talk about, the Marlins on an 8-game streak. Fins down in Florida, baby. Kind of what we wanted to pose. We know kind of how they are. They're going to get hot at certain times. They got a young team, some electric guys down there, and Kyle Stowers, Agustin Ramirez. You want to talk about? They have some electric dudes. Out of the Marlins and the Pirates, who gets out of the gutter first?
See, we just had this discussion on Pittsburgh, and I do think Pittsburgh's a little more further away than maybe their fans want to think. It's also if they make the right moves, and their front office has been pretty stupid. I almost lean Miami because, and we'll have to see with these young guys. We'll see. They're another team that can develop pitchers pretty well, and it's just a matter of their offense. And if we're seeing it a little bit more with their offense, if it's Otto Lopez and Xavier Edwards up the middle, you talked about Stowers, Ramirez. Maybe that can prove to be a pretty decent core. They're going to have to make moves to try to bring in some like veteran guys if they're actually going to start to be contenders at the end of the decade. But those are the types of boxes that they're going to have to check off and not just run with like 9 guys under the age of 25, or I don't know what it is, but like it feels like that. But they are another team that can develop good pitchers. Jansen Junk, I think, is a dude who's come out. We'll see. They're in a similar boat. Like I would say Heaney and Cal Quantrill have similar career paths. I would say that they have young pitchers. I would say that they have guys that they could deal at the deadline. In this case, Sandy almost feels like he's definitely going to go. But the thing with Miami is I look at the manager right now. The Pirates are working with I don't know if he has the interim tag, but whatever they have right now with, I think his name's Don Kelly.
Yeah.
Whatever they're going to roll further with that, where Miami's manager is he's a first-year guy that came from the Dodgers last year. So he won a ring as a member of that coaching staff. So he's not a World Series champion manager, but he is a manager with a World Series championship as a coach. So I don't know. He, being around Dave Roberts that long, being in that type of organization, he has a good idea, I feel like, of what a good, well-rounded championship organization looks like. He knows how to work with that culture more. So I think if culture is going to be, if they're both bad teams that have currently been hot, what team can trend forward first? I'm going to choose the team that I'm going to speculate has the better culture, and I think it starts with the manager, and that'll be the Marlins manager who just came from the Dodgers, and he's seen that locker room.
See, I'm on the opposite, and I think the Pirates get out of it before the Marlins do. I think the Pirates have a lot more talent than the Marlins, but that's strictly from a pitching aspect. Like I think if I'm being honest, I think Alcantara gets dealt. I think he's gone, and I think even like Edward Cabrera, who's played really well as of late, he's now gonna get dealt as well too. Even a Yuri Perez, he's probably gone for the Marlins. The Marlins have three pitchers that they can go, and it depends on what talent they get back, basically.
Mhm.
Both of these teams, this is a big deadline for both of these teams. Both of these teams should be sellers. They should get rid of guys. It's all depending on who these guys get back. But I'll be honest, I think the Pirates are closer than the Marlins.
I think if the Pirates were to sell Skeens at the deadline, that would put them in a good spot because I think they can get a handful of good guys, and it sucks that they have to get rid of one great guy. But like, I don't think they do that. But at least if they were to do that, I think that puts them in a better spot. I don't know who the Marlins would get for Sandy per se.
Mhm.
I think it would be
That's
a lot
fair.
of like super young. It'd be in the same similar situation as where they are now with all these like young guys. But listen, some of these guys have panned out. Like I think Stowers will be their all star. I don't know how their pen looks, so but I'm going to lean the culture there, and also the NL Central is actually better than the NL East right now. So in terms of just who they have to compete with, if Marlins right now proven to be better than Atlanta. Um, where I don't know how far away Pittsburgh is from like Cincinnati because Cincy's also young and going to continue to climb.
Love it. All right. Well, since this is a good transition, I think, into our little trade scenario talk because we just talked about two teams we
Ooh.
think are going to be sellers. So I stuck with what I know. I have some propositions for you, Spin. I want you to tell me if you would do these two trades. All right. First one is between a team we were just talking about, and the Pirates and my Phillies. Phillies, everybody knows it. We need bullpen help. Pirates got two guys in the bullpen over there, and Dennis Santana and Bednar, who could help a team in October. So if you're the Pirates or if you're the Phillies, do you take this trade? Pirates
Wow.
send Dennis, huh?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Pirates send Dennis Santana and David Bednar for Otto Kemp, Justin Crawford, and Mick Abel.
So I was gonna say off the rec, because I'm looking at Bednar now. That's why I was like, ooh. Um, I was gonna say it's all fun and games until Bednar does what Romano did early in the season, right? Like, and Bednar or does what Kimbrel did in 2023.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games till that. But maybe I should bite my tongue on Bednar. It's a 2.73 ERA. He's looked good. I remember he had a rough start to the season, got sent down, came back up. I guess he's been good since. So I haven't been keeping up with Bednar. Good for you, David. I like that. Let's go back to this trade now. I know Santana's been reliable for if you're the Pirates, yeah. If you're the Phillies, maybe not. Maybe I'm a little more stingy with these young cats from the Phils. What do you think?
So the only thing I would change is I am a huge fan of Otto Kemp. I think he's been great for us. He's not afraid of the moment. He is like in his past couple games, he's the situational hitting has been there. And that's what I love to see because we don't have a whole lot of that. You know what I mean? A lot of the guys tend to freeze when it comes to situational hitting. Runners in scoring position, Phillies historically have never been good. I think Otto Kemp's going to be a guy that can stay. He's now playing left field. Which is great for the Phillies because we've needed a left fielder for a long time now. Also, Justin Crawford can kind of be your center fielder of the future. I'm not necessarily attached to Mick Abel. I'll say that. I think he's been great, but I do think his trade value right now is high, and I think you need to capitalize on that. If we can, I would take out Otto Kemp and I try to get a Rojas Marsh or a Kepler in there. And then I would do it in a heartbeat, basically. I
I
would
am with you.
100% do it in a heartbeat. If you can keep Otto Kemp and you can get one of them in there, I'd do it. If Otto Kemp's in there, I would try to keep Justin Crawford then. You know what I mean? Or vice.
I'm with you. I actually just looked at how old David Bednar is. He's only 30. I was hoping he'd be a little bit older, and then you could just do like Abel for a reliever straight up and be like,
Yeah.
oh, he's a 33-year-old reliever. Here's but 30 maybe changes things. Maybe it doesn't. I don't fucking know. But I think this is really and the Phillies have the bigger risk here. Obviously, I mean, if the Phillies are doing this, then that means that they are. I mean, we figured that they're all in this year, but this really solidifies it because obviously their big thing that they have to address is their bullpen, as well as maybe an outfielder, but like mostly their bullpen. And if they bring 2 guys in and send that package, then they really mean business this year. Now, if it doesn't work, then fuck. Now you're in the similar spot as next year, and
Mhm.
except the only thing is that you don't have 3 young guys.
Exactly.
So it's a big risk for Philly. I would see what else they can get, and see if Abel's trade stock is high. Do you have to? Can you just give who? Can you just do Abel for Santana? Can you just do something like that? Kind of hold on to some of your young guys, and like you said, if not, if you're going to throw in an outfielder or a position player, yeah, get rid of some of like a Rojas. I don't know who's going to want Rojas, but maybe if he's packaged with an Abel and it's like a 2-for-1 and it's just Santana coming over, maybe that's a little more sexy. I don't know, but yeah, fuck Marsh, Kepler, Rojas. Yeah, Otto Kemp seems like a really good left fielder. I don't really want to fuck with the young guys too much personally.
Plays a good glove at like 3 different positions too. So I'm a big fan of Otto Kemp. I like him. He's a hustle guy. He makes things happen. I would like to keep him as long if we can, But I do think I'm leaning more towards it. We got to go all in. We got a lot of guys coming up to deals coming. Their contracts are ending. I think JT's is ending. Schwarber's is ending. Rangers is ending. Like there's a lot of what ifs. Like what is going to happen with these guys? They need to go all in this year.
I do think you have to go all in. If there's a way to do that and keep at least an Otto Kemp, then sure. If you can maybe deal one of the current outfielders
Yeah,
at the big league level with Abel and maybe bring in a reliever, maybe just one reliever, and then maybe you can use some other guys as trade bait for a big already guy in the major leagues who plays outfield. Maybe that could address some things. But big risk for Philly. Big risk for Philly to kind of get rid of some of those young guys like that because if they don't do it this year, they're fucked. Don't you think, though?
I agree. The next one is also the Phillies, and this has been a big talk that I've seen recently. I didn't see him earlier in the year, but I've seen it a lot recently. Is Eugenio Suarez? He's been popping up a lot on my feed of people thinking he's going to get shipped. He's having an all-star caliber year. We believe he's been snubbed, but what they're saying is the belief is there would be a package around Mick Abel. Now, this is it. This is the thing for me. I think is Eugenio Suarez on a contract year?
I think so.
So it would probably be a one and done for the Phillies, right? He's having a crazy good year. He's looked great. If the Diamondbacks are willing to part ways with him, if they, say, well, we're going to be sellers now kind of thing. So this is the only way I would do this. Actually, I don't know. It's so hard right now for me to say this, but like what they're saying is going to be a package around Mick Abel. The starting pitching over there hasn't been great for them. They're trying to kind of stitch up the back end of that pen. Gallen hasn't looked great. Burns is out. They want to address some things. So the package has to be maybe you give them we have a catcher in our system who's one of the top ranked catchers. His name's Eduardo Tate. Maybe you throw him in there along with it has to be Rojas, Marsh, or Kepler. That has to be in the package. Because this is definitely you're not going to get, I don't think you get more years out of Eugenio Suarez. Also, what happens now is either Kyle Schwarber or Bryce Harper has to play the outfield. Because Eugenio Suarez will probably play third, and then Bohm will move to first. So that either leaves Bryce DHing or Schwarber DHing. So then one of them has to go to the outfield. So this one's a little bit more up in the air for me. What do you think?
If you're the Phillies, I'm probably saying no. But let's see what the Diamondbacks could be just really wanting to get rid of Suarez. Not that he's not a good player. Not that they're going to be maybe they're insane sellers, but I'm more thinking they want to clear room for, I think, Jordan Lawler, who's one of their top, maybe their top prospect or one of their top, whatever. So that, he's got a little major league time, hasn't really dazzled, but he hasn't had many opportunities. So if they can clear space for him, I think that's kind of what they want to do. And if Suarez, if he is on a contract year, then it's well, this is, Lawler's opportunity or his position for the future. So if they're just really quick to do that, we'll see what they ultimately do. For me as a Yankee fan who Suarez has been in the talks as well. I almost don't. Maybe I want Suarez, but he's the same guy that the Yankees always have. It's homer or nothing, strikeouts. Yes, he can get ribbies, but he'll strike out. Maybe he walks, but he'll hit. Like I want a different hitter. So if the Yankees have to start to get a little more creative at the deadline and not just go after the big boppers, I wouldn't hate that either. So if that takes Suarez off the table, but if he goes to Philly, then fuck it. Maybe they have to get a little bit more. Maybe you have to get a little bit more creative. But if there's not that many good third basemen out there, I know Ryan McMahon might be one, or whoever the fuck else. If there's not that many good third basemen out there, and he's the best one out there, then maybe that is a point of attack where the Yankees want to address. And again, maybe the Phillies want to as well. I just don't know. Phillies are in a better spot at the very least with a third baseman than the Yankees are.
Yeah, so that it wasn't a big need. I think they're looking for more like the thing is they want more of a right-handed power bat, that fits. That's what they're really looking for right now. Because Cassie's gonna give you home runs, but he's turned into more of a doubles guy. Like he's gonna find gaps.
Yeah.
Than sending the long ball out. And I think Eugenio Suarez is kind of the biggest. Let's go get him. But I like your take on them getting rid of him to clear up for Jordan. What is it, Lawler?
Yeah, for the Phils, like I don't even know how. Is that with another guy that they want? Another guy who's a little bit older, who I maybe just want some. Is there not a guy out there that can be an outfielder and also has athleticism that can hit bombs from the right side? Like I don't know.
It would be Adolis Garcia, and I don't want Adolis Garcia.
Okay. At least I think he would fit better in that lineup, though.
He would, but I still like Adolis Garcia has had a down year. Maybe we've seen him in October before and he shined bright. So maybe he's the guy when the bright lights are on, he performs. So we'll see. But that kind of brings me into I wrote down some most likely trade candidates for me. I've made a list of I have Sandy Alcantara, Adolis, Ryan O'Hearn, Luis Roberts, who has also been on the Phillies radar, and my sleeper pick, Byron Buxton. What do you think about that?
Byron, that is a sleeper pick. We'll see what they do with Byron. Another guy who's a little older, right? I don't even know how old he is.
Older, gets hurt a lot, but what is he going to do on the Twins? The Twins, we knew they were going to downfall. They are in a complete spiral right now. They're not really going to get any. They need to go get something, and Byron Buxton's having an all-star caliber year.
Yeah, I really like Luis Robert though a lot. I want the Yankees to get him. I think he's having a pretty bad season. But my thing with Robert has been you never hear any problems with his defense. He plays center field. I guess he plays a fine center field. And he has a shit ton of stolen bases. So even when he's having a down year, you know that he could be a fine center fielder and swipe bags. So he's still bringing that stuff to the table, even if the average is like below the Mendoza line, dare I say. I know it's really bad, but I do want the Yankees to get him because I do think he's a spark. He's on the fucking IL right now. Damn it.
Yeah, he's hurt right now.
But I still want the Yankees to get him, and I think even if it's not the Yankees, and he does seem like a very viable trade piece for them. I think he could benefit any lineup, even though he's hitting 185 and currently banged up because he comes back early July rather. Either way, I do think a change of scenery is good for him. We know what he can do when he's going right. And even when he's not going right, we talked about the things that he can bring to the table regardless. I do think he has leadoff potential, which that's why I want the Yankees to get him because I think he could lead off on this team, swipe bags, be a different style of hitter than what they're used to. And I know he's hit 185 that turns a lot of people off, but a change of scenery, an opportunity to play for something. Last few years in Chicago, what has he been doing? Fucking trying not to be the worst team of all time. Yeah, like that's what it is. So if he can get a little bit of playoff atmosphere, start to sniff the playoffs, have something to play for, I think that's good for a player like him. I think that's what he wants. I think that's what he needs to kind of really get going again. And the change of scenery is just sometimes good for anybody. On top of that, you throw like playoff conversations around him and a good winning culture, just a winning culture in general. I mean, fuck. I think that would do wonders for him. So I think he's going to be a really good trade asset or a good acquisition for any team who gets him because I do think he's going. Change of scenery, really good. And despite him hitting 185, I do think he's a really good name to bring in to whatever team gets him. I hope it's the Yankees, realistically.
Yeah, so like I said, there's a lot of teams that need some things, and there's a lot of bad teams who have some guys they can get rid of. So I think it's going to be an interesting trade deadline. There's a lot of questions to be answered, but we'll get into the All-Star talks real quick because that's before the trade deadline. All-Star second round of voting ends at what, noon today?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we want to pull it up here,
There's the AL.
this is
Yeah.
the leaders right now of the AL. What are we looking at here, Spin? What are we looking at?
Yeah, so there's been the fan voting never really is bad, but this year it's kind of been bad, huh?
It's horrible. There's so many guys who are deserving that I believe have gotten snubbed.
I think for the past however many years, I've been kind of content with how it went down. Uh, but wow, yeah. So we look at first base between Vlad and Goldschmidt, but who's the big dude that isn't a finalist that sticks out to you?
The boy in over there in Tampa Bay, a young Jonathan Aranda.
I mean, I think he should be a
So
top two.
deserving.
I think he should be a top two. Yeah.
I think listen, Vladdy star power, he's turned it around. I think he deserves to be there. But I'm gonna touch on your boy Goldschmidt a little bit. In the beginning of the year, yeah, Goldschmidt deserved to be the first baseman. As of late, no, I don't think he does.
I agree. I think it's between Vlad and Aranda for the top two finalists here for the AL first base. Goldschmidt has trended down. Maybe he would have made the team with Booney helping him out or whatever the fuck it is, but not as a top two guy. If Aranda gets snubbed, that'd be insane. But he's not getting any love out down there in Tampa Bay. Vladdy gets the star power, so on that alone, I can see why fans want him. I think Goldschmidt being on the Yankees gets a lot of love from the fans, which is good, but it's not good because of fucking Aranda. I think is much more deserving. So I almost would have probably voted for Aranda to start. Maybe now that Vladdy's turned it around and star power, you want to see that, but Aranda fucking needs it, man.
I know. And then you get to second base. Gleyber and Jackson, I don't really have a problem with either of those. Jackson Holiday's turned it around a good amount. He's played well like the second half of the first half of the year.
Yeah, I have a little bit more of a problem with Holiday being there. I think if you look at Brandon Lowe's numbers, I think it should be between Gleyber and Brandon Lowe, or I think it might be Lau, as I think you pronounce it. I think it's Lau. I like Gleyber and Lau to be the 1-2. If I don't think this is Holiday's year, I think it's a great step in the right direction for Jackson Holiday. Almost a type of step in the right direction I wish Anthony Volpe would fucking take. But 255 is Jackson Holiday with 10 homers and 33 ribbies. And you look at B. Lau, 274 with 19 homers, 50 ribbies. Holiday has him in stolen bases, but that's not Lau's game. Lau's game, or the fuck. So yeah, I think Gleyber's having a good season. I think if it's between these two guys, Gleyber starts, but I almost would like Lau to start.
You changed my mind on that. I just looked at his numbers and you read them off. They're damn good. He does deserve to be there.
Because you could, at the rate we're going, we can basically make a starting lineup without the league, like the vote getters. Like I would just take the scraps, and I say if Aranda's considered a scrap, give me him. If Lau's there, I think he's the best second baseman in the AL. So that's at the rate we're going. But
and then you get to shortstop, Jacob Wilson, 100% deserving. I think he's going to contend with Judge for a batting title. I think he deserves to be there. But we talked about Bobby Witt. I mean, a down year for him is this year, and he's hitting what, 280 on the that's how good Bobby Witt is. But we have to talk about Jeremy Pena over there at Houston. I know you might have said he's a little banged up right now, but still, his numbers are unbelievable this year. And I'm surprised that the Houston Astro fans didn't show out more. Maybe Bobby Witt's more of a name and more of a face of the league. That's why he's getting more votes. But Jeremy Pena is having an all-star. You can argue that he should be starting in the all-star game.
Yeah, he's on the IL, so he would ultimately have missed the game anyway for when he's set to return. So he would have missed it anyway. So okay, fine. But listen, I mean, if we go to third base, Bregman's there. He's been hurt way longer. So I wish Pena would have been in this conversation. I think Pena should make it regardless, and then he could be fulfilled with an injured, like a reserved guy to fulfill his spot. But I do think Pena, Bobby Witt, again, the star power's there. But I do think Pena, you could argue, is having the better season over Bobby. Well, I think he's hands down having the better season over Bobby Witt. The stolen bases and homers are pretty close, and then he's like 40 points higher in batting average. So I like Pena a lot. He would be part of our scrap team with Lowe and Pena and Aranda. I mean, all those guys could very well start, and they're not even top 2 finalists. I do like Jacob Wilson to start, though.
Yeah, and then you go to third base. We're going to talk about another Tampa Bay Ray. Well, I am at least.
Mm-hmm.
We just talked about how Bregman's been hurt. Bregman in the beginning of the year, before he got hurt, yes, 100% deserving of this. But he hasn't played in what, like a month and a half, 2 months?
Yeah.
So he's been out for a long time. Junior I'm saying this wrong. I'm sorry. Caminero down in Tampa is killing 259 on the year. The dude's got 21 home runs and 53 RBIs. How is he not even being considered? And I get it. It's a fan vote. Who's going to tell this guy it's a fan vote? I get it, guys. It's a freaking fan vote. But like, this is why I have such a problem with it, because we just went through the whole entire infield and we just listed 4 guys who could, like, quote unquote, like, start in some of these positions.
I'm with you. I think Caminero is probably, unless we're totally blanking on another AL third baseman, maybe we are. But I do think Caminero is a damn good guy, especially if Bregman's banged up. Now, obviously, Bregman is deserving of a spot. He's been hurt for so fucking long now. Yeah, I do kind of lean him. So Caminero, that is. Is there? How about Michael Garcia even having a darn good season? I don't know if he's as sexy of a name. Isaac Paredes, maybe I have to look at his numbers. I'm just kind of going through here.
What about your boy Chisholm?
Maybe not Jazz. I like that he's, I like the honorable mention, though, if we can but like I do think it's J-Ram either way. But yeah, again, if we're making like our all scrap team, yeah, I mean Caminero is probably the next man up, right?
Yeah, and then catcher, I don't have a problem with either of those.
I think those are clearly the top 2. I could put respects on Dylan Dingler's name, but he's not having the season Kirk is. I don't know how many catchers will make it, because I think if, in an exhibition game, I know it's like people want to watch Cal Riley play a whole fucking game, but realistically, you want to take strain off of these guys if the game doesn't mean anything. So if they do bring in another catcher just to kind of keep the strain off of such a rigorous position, maybe you're looking at the guy for the Red Sox and Narvaez. Maybe you're looking at Dylan Dingler for Detroit. I don't know about Salvi. Maybe I don't fucking know.
Yeah, it's kind of up in the air right now. But then you get to DH. Ryan O'Hearn, I think, is deserving. He's been the only like great thing about the that team, all year this year, and the Orioles. But what about Ben Rice? What do you think about Ben Rice?
That's funny. Take Rice off. I know, listen, maybe Yankee fans showed out a little bit, and he did get off to a really good start. And I think when you get off to he's kind of a fun guy. He's a bit of a fan favorite in New York. So when you get off to a hot start and you play in a big market, yeah, that's going to carry over all the way to the All-Star votes, apparently. But Brent Rooker would be the better option out of either of them, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I'd rather have Brent Rooker over O'Hearn.
Probably. I mean, I like to give O'Hearn credit. I like seeing he's what, like 31?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so I like seeing an older guy who's having a good year get his flowers because he hasn't before, kind of thing. So kudos to him.
Yeah, he can make the team. I think Rooker should start, because at the rate we're going, it doesn't even look like Rooker's going to make. Maybe he does. I don't know. Like how many reserves do you take? And I guess you still take somebody from. Well, no, because the A's are represented by Wilson. So yeah. Rooker better be there.
He should be. But then we get to the outfield. Riley Green, Javi Baez. I love seeing. So they have the second best record in baseball now. I don't know if they have the first. I think the Dodgers might have overtaken them. They did. But you got Riley Green and Javi, and then Mike Trout and Stephen Kwan. I like all 4 of those guys. I think you have to give Byron Buxton more flowers, though. Maybe over I don't even know who you put him over, because Riley Green's been a huge part of the success over there. So is Javi.
Well, you could just add him to the list. Look what the NL did. Look how many outfielders they have.
Yeah, okay, never mind. Put him freaking on there. What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Buxton deserves to be there. 100%.
I think Buxton, yes, he does deserve to be there. I think the other guys deserve to be there too, and it's always good to have options, I guess. So
yeah,
why not just add to the options? If anything, the only guy that doesn't deserve to be there is Trout. But guess what? Everybody wants to see Trout, including myself. Yeah. I would almost put Trout and Rooker as the 2 finalists for DH, because people want to watch Trout, and Rooker's the more deserving. And then O'Hearn can make the fucking team, but not like a starter.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good way to put it, actually. But do you want to move on to the NL?
Yeah.
So we got Freddie and Pete. I don't I don't really have a problem with either of those. Maybe if you want to start Pete, sit Freddie, but like I think both of them deserve to be there.
I think you make a case for either one to start. I have Pete starting over Freddie personally,
Yeah, I mean
and I like
Pete's
Freddie
done
more.
it
But
there. Yeah, and I'm just a huge fan of Freddie Freeman, and I really like him being the number one. But second base, Ketel Marte, 100% deserves to be there. I think he's the best second baseman in all of baseball.
yep,
What the fuck is Tommy Edman doing there?
Dodgers fans love their guys.
Tommy Edman's batting 242 on the year.
There's a Dodger at each position, so they're gonna show
Yeah,
out.
they really did show out. I mean, Tommy Edman's batting 242 on the year. Meanwhile, you got Brandon Donovan over there in St. Louis, who's been doing it all year. Doing
Donovan,
it all
how about
year.
Bryce Terang has a really good season too. I would like to see him make it, hitting 289 with 17 swipes of 17 bags. Um, I really like that. 54 runs, 35 ribbies. I'm not going to judge him on his homers and shit like that, but he's a scrapper and he's hitting 289 with the stolen bases, and his team's been really hot to back it up. I think Terang is there, and I think Donovan is there, and Nico Horner's having a good season too. I like to see some of those guys who are having they're scrappy, they're under the radar. I like to see them kind of do it more so than Edman, who's in a big market, but the fans showed out for him. But again, that's kind of ridiculous.
And I
This
mean,
is where the fan vote's fucking ridiculous sometimes.
and he was also hurt. So like I can't believe he's there. Next we get to shortstop, Lindor and Betts. I don't think either of these two. I think there are two better shortstops in the NL, and Ellie De La Cruz and Trey Turner that should be there instead of those two.
Yeah, if Trey, I might lean as my finalist like De La Cruz and Lindor, but I would have Turner over Betts for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, the only reason I'm saying this is because like Trey's hitting this year. He's hitting better than Lindor in a lot of categories. I think at least last time I looked, but
Yeah.
the that's the only reason I say it. Ellie De La Cruz not being on here is kind of insane to me. Lindor, listen, I'm a fan of Lindor. I'm not just saying that because he's a Met. I like the brand of baseball Lindor plays. He started off the season super hot. I mean, hell, some people were talking about him being an MVP at the start of the season. He's since cooled down from there. But Mookie Betts isn't having the greatest of years either, but he's still sitting there. So, like, this is where the fan vote just really is, turning me off, man.
Yeah, Trey stacks up pretty good with Lindor. If anything, maybe you lean Trey, or if you bring defense, you lean Lindor. But
Yeah.
Either way, I like Trey as like a top 3, and I certainly like Ellie in the top 2.
Yeah. So that's nuts to me. Then we get to third base. Manning, deserving. Max Muncy. What are we doing? What
I don't hate him
fans- I don't hate him either. He got hot there for a little bit, but like, let's pull up Eugenio Suarez's numbers real quick.
I like I don't really hate that Muncy's there. But I do think there's probably 2 guys that I would lean before Muncy.
Who's the second?
Austin Riley.
Oh, really? You throw Austin Riley in there too?
Over Muncy, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't hate that. But like, Eugenio Suarez has 26 bombs on the year, and he's got 69 RBIs. He's got an OPS of 888. Like he's done better than Muncy. Isn't this the guy that hit 4 home runs earlier this year?
Did he have a 4-homer game?
Yeah. Like that's insane. And the fan vote. God damn it, dude.
They want us to. I think the Dodgers fans want all their. They just want to have a starting 9 of Dodgers.
It's freaking nuts. And we're gonna, dude. The announcers already at this All-Star game are gonna be insufferable about all this.
It's probably
insufferable.
It's usually on Fox, I think, right? So maybe it'll be what's his name, Smoltzy.
Yeah.
But no, I like Suarez over Muncy. I like Austin Riley over. I think Riley's probably number 3. I think there was a time he was top 2 with Machado. He's trended down. Suarez been playing good ball. Muncy has trended up. I don't hate to see him. If there was like a top 4 list, then I don't hate it. But maybe that should be the second round of voting, or maybe there should be 3 rounds of voting, and the second round is like the top 4 or 5 guys, and then from there you break it down, because when you have so many options, and then it's like you're choosing the familiar names or the big markets or this and that, and it's like maybe you forget about Suarez or some shit, or even Riley, because both those guys I think are playing better than Muncy, but they're both on underperforming teams that maybe you forget about.
Yeah. So, I mean, catcher, I think once again, they kind of got it right. Carson Kelly's having a great year. And Will Smith, we're fans of Will Smith here. He's having an awesome year also.
Yeah, I'm over Carson Kelly personally. Maybe he's turned it up a little bit as of late. 462 in his last 7. Good. So he's seen his name because he would start out the season really good, and he was deserving of a spot. Then I thought he fell off, and I'm like, okay, I'm over him. Especially when you have other good catchers like Hunter Goodman and Drake Baldwin in the mix. Hunter Goodman, I think, is having a better season than Carson Kelly personally.
That's fair. I would put Hunter Goodman in. It's like maybe a 2A 2B kind of thing with Carson Kelly.
No, I have Carson Kelly probably like 3 or 4.
Really?
Standing alone. Now with Carson Kelly, he has turned it up as of late, got that average back up to 267. So that 267 actually looks good on him. But I think that's part of the reason is he's seeing his name on this finalist list and he's saying, well, shit, like maybe I turn it up and I could start. I don't think he starts over Will Smith, but at the very least, he's saying I have to turn it up so I can be deserving of a spot here because for a while, I mean, he's hitting 4 something in his last 7 games, and that brought his average up to 267. So he's slowed down, so I was kind of got off of him, but it's good to see him be hot again. If he's going to be a top 2 guy, he better fucking be hot.
I think that is a fair point. But then we get to the outfield. PCA, Teoscar, Ronald Acuna, Kyle Tucker, Pages, and Juan Soto.
Pretty good, but who are they missing?
James freaking Wood. I mean, how many more times do I have to say it? James Woods deserves to be there. He's having an unbelievable year. Also, they're missing Corbin Carroll in my eyes too.
Sure. Yep.
And I think both of those guys. And then if people are like, well, Corbin Carroll's hurt. Well, guess what? So was Mookie Betts this year. So was Tommy Edman. So was Alex Bregman on the AL side. There's no like, you can't say, oh, well, this person's hurt. Guess what? Yeah, all these other guys are hurt too. So like,
everyone gets a little bit. Even Ketel was a little bit banged up, and he's probably still going to be the starter, and he deserves to be the starter.
Yeah.
How about this though? Those are my outfield because there's so many. This is what I did for outfield NL side. I went with Pages.
I don't hate that. He's done great. He's the best outfielder on the best team in baseball, so I think he deserves some love there too.
Yeah, Tucker, Pages, and PCA. Because who does that take out? That takes out no Soto, no. Because look, Acuna was hurt even longer than most guys, and he's on this.
Yeah, and he's having it, but he's had a very good comeback. I will say that he's looked unbelievable.
Very familiar face he has a lot of swag, so everyone's like watching his highlights and his YouTube shorts or Instagram reels, whatever the fuck, so everyone's doing it. And plus, the game will be in Atlanta, so you want to have a hometown guy. Fine, he's doing the home run derby. I don't need him starting though. I think he missed too much. Soto, I don't think he's had you can't take away from the guys that have had a really good, well-rounded year so far, and guys like Tucker and PCA have. So I really want them book those guys. And then guess what? For the third guy, I leaned Pages here. I did lean Pages.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all.
You want to see my AL? Kwan and Riley, because the biggest question is going to be outfield, right?
Yeah.
So Green and Kwan, I like that Kwan. So let's get Kwan on the fucking ballot. I don't know if he will. Javi might get love.
I think Javi is going to get love.
Yeah, because Kwan hit it in 296, and that's pretty much his big claim to fame.
Yeah. He was hitting 310 for the longest time. He must be cold.
Baez is hitting a little bit lower, but I think his story and a little bit more spark.
Yeah.
But, but either way, I think the big takeaway here is you can easily make a team based on guys who aren't even top 2 at the positions right now.
I mean, there's a lot. We can make an all snub team, and they would compete with some of those AL teams. So another thing we wanted to talk on, probably the last thing we're going to talk about, and we probably want to get through this soon because we're getting to the hour 45 mark. Team USA, Bobby Witt just committed to playing. He's in 100%. So I put in a little lineup real quick to see if you'd like it. Tell me what you think. All right.
All right.
Catcher, Cal Riley.
Yes.
First base, I got Bryce.
Yes.
Second base, I'm going to put Mookie.
Like it.
Shortstop, I'm going to put Trey. Third base, I'm going to put Bobby Witt. Left fielder, Judge. Center fielder, Corbin Carroll. right fielder Tucker, DH Trout, and the first two people off my bench are PCA and Gunnar Henderson.
Ooh. So yeah, I liked how you started. I'm gonna shuffle some shit because I might have some similar guys, but not in those positions. So I'm not having Trey at short. Bobby's playing short with Gunnar at third for me.
Okay.
We know Judge. I probably keep Judge in right, but he is out there, and obviously he's the captain of the team. But I'm keeping Judge in right. I think I'm going to put Kyle Tucker out there. I probably would be more willing to move Tucker to left. And then if you like center field, if you want Tucker, Carroll or PCA, take your pick on the third outfielder. I don't really know, but I think I do like Tucker. He was there last time. Like I said, be more willing to move him to left and keeping Judge in right. And then what did I say? Gunnar at third with Bobby at short. Trey could be on the team, but he's not starting for me. I like Mookie at second. And that's kind of, and then if you want DH, if you want Trout there, that's fine with me.
And then I actually got my starting pitchers as well. I'm going with Skeens as my 1, Skubal as my 2, Wheeler as my 3, Crochet as my 4, and Fried as my 5.
Ooh.
With the top 3 bullpen arms being Helsley, Hader, and Mason Miller.
I think in a perfect world, that is the best pitching staff you could ever roll out, probably in the history of mankind.
Yeah,
we'll see. Hopefully, they're all willing to do it because I think, how can you beat those motherfuckers?
No,
unless you put another guy and say, Hunter Brown, you would just add to the list. You're not taking anyone away.
You could throw like Michael King in there too, like Hunter Brown. Like
we like Logan Webb on the program, but
Logan Webb, yeah.
Hunter Green, I don't know, but listen, these guys, yes, well, it's just a matter of if they all want to do it because pitching is going to be the hardest thing to bring in because they're going to be all the pitching epidemic. They're going to preserve their arms, blah blah blah, all that stuff. But now that Skeens is in, hopefully that opens doors for some guys. And then that pen, yeah, I love Hader for the 9th. He hasn't blown a save all year. He's an absolute stud. Mason Miller, he's a bit shaky this year, but you got to see Mason Miller on this team. He wouldn't even be the closer, so who cares? He would just be part of the squad.
Flamethrower.
And then flamethrower, and Helsley's low-key flamethrower too. Fucking let's book him, and we'll see who else they get. Maybe Luke Weaver. Ooh.
I think Luke Weaver would definitely be thrown in there if I'm being honest.
That'd be sick. But in a perfect world, I do hope it plays out like that. And it's just going to be a matter of trying to fulfill positions because there's some guys that can bounce around.
If you're USA and you're playing whoever, and you're rolling out there Skeens on the first day and Skubal on the second day, teams would be shitting themselves.
They could very well be the Cy Young winners this year.
Yeah.
So good luck against these fuckers. To be honest with you, that's pretty nuts. It has all the makings of a gold medal, realistically, if they play. And D-Rose really good with it. So we'll see how it continues to unfold over the course of a season.
Is that all we got today?
Is that all we got? And it ended on a high note with Team USA. See, that's better to do because at least we can build that roster and still have fun with it. Where the fucking All-Star game, on the other hand, we can build a roster, but it's already tainted.
Exactly.
The fans already tainted it. Whatever. That's all from us, guys. Down and Spit in the morning on this Wednesday edition presented by Off Base Media. We'll see you Friday, baby. For a wet, hot, and weekend.